direction, weapons in the other direction. Who knows? We'll follow it up. But speaking of that, now we're going to go to Florida a little bit, because he's a quartermaster in Florida, remember, in Broward County, in this very tight space, tight circle. Now, I'm not talking about the shooter Cruz. I'm not talking about that Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas, I always mix up that middle name because it doesn't go. Nicholas is a Russian name, right? And then Cruz is a Spanish surname, so they don't quite go together. But Nicholas Jacob Cruz. Now, I'm not saying Nicholas Jacob Cruz is in any way involved in drug business or anything like that. The one we're talking about that goes to this special school at Central Texas College here in Bethesda, Maryland. Now, would they be the ones that would be responsible for getting the stuff out of the bodies and preparing the bodies? I don't know. But I know they're in the same place they do the forensic analysis. So anyway, I'm not sure that's what he did, but I'm just saying, if you had a similar set of folks down there at Southcom, you would be you would have an MOS, put it that way. The Doral Country Club, or Doral, is where Southcom is based. So it is conceivable that you would be moving people from a forensic headquarters here in Bethesda to different commands, unified commands around the world, and Southcom could be one.